there. Kaitlin Stansell is at Surf City. When we talked with her about 30 minutes ago, it was extremely windy. Let's see if the conditions have subsided any. Kaitlin?
Fran, it's actually so windy out here, we've had to start using our cell phone because our live truck just hasn't been able to get ready. But what we are noticing, we actually just got an update from the town of Surf City. I'm going to read it to you here, what it's saying. Sorry, it just fell off the wind, knocked it out of my hand. But what they're telling people is that, you know, town hall is open, and if they need to get updates from the town, they can come into town hall. They're taking phone calls all day. I'm going to turn this around so you can look at some video. What they're saying is they are open for business, and they expect this storm to really pick up here in Surf City. Sorry about that. There are some people actually in the water right now, brave enough to get out there in these choppy waves. I'm going to try and zoom in if I can. It's just so rainy out here, the phone will barely let me zoom into anything. But you see these people out here in the waves, and you know that's what the town is saying. Stay out of the water. But they're not restricting that at this time. They're just encouraging it and telling people to be cautious. Now, they do expect these winds to pick up to 66 miles per hour, and at the peak to hit around this area in Pender County and Surf City around 8 or 9 tonight. Now, I'm going to turn and kind of look at the pier over here so you can see this pier is about 18 feet tall, and the waves not quite all the way touching the bottom here, but they do expect it to get a little windier. My hat is about to fall off right now. It is so windy.
Wow, it is windy, and we were happy to talk with her. Yes, she did. So far, Pender County is under a state of...
Right, well, the winds have been just picking up along the coast of Pender County, and we just got word from Kaitlin Stansell that somebody saw a water spout there in Pender County. And
it looks like Kaitlin is in some better conditions than the last time we saw her anyway. She's up there in Surf City. Kaitlin, what can you report for us at this hour?
You know, it's been just 10 or 15 minutes since I last talked to you, and conditions have almost completely changed. The rain has stopped. The wind still pretty breezy out here, but nothing like it was just a few minutes ago. Now, I'm going to move out of the way so you can see people are moving onto the beach now. There's people in the water. The pier is actually still open. There's people down at the very end where waves are kind of licking the very bottom of that pier. But nothing too much of concern. Town officials are keeping a very close eye on this, though. They actually gave us an update about 30 minutes ago saying that if anything does happen, they will update on social media. And of course, you can follow us on WECT.com for the latest. But they expect to close town hall at 5 tonight and also be closed for the 4th of July holiday tomorrow. They do say they will be on site in the morning to take a look at the impacts of this storm and see if there's any kind of cleanup they need to do. But at this point, they're not expecting too much. And they have said that they have experienced 66 mile per hour winds. And that picture that I sent into Gannon earlier, a person out here on vacation actually took that just over the pier that you're looking at right now is where he spotted that water spout coming down. Now, the ocean waves, town officials are saying, are breaking just beyond the pier. But so far, there's no significant erosion on the beaches, and they're expecting during the peak of the storm to hit here in Surf City to be between 8 and 9 tonight, and they say that it will be low tide, so perfect conditions for that heavy wind and rain to hit us here as the worst part of the storm passes. But I'm going to send it back to you now in the studio.
Okay, Kaitlin, thanks very much. Again, they were supposed to have a fireworks show tonight in Surf City. That was obviously canceled.
We're also keeping an eye on conditions in Pender County as Hurricane Arthur moves by.
Now, we know tonight Pender County also under a state of emergency, and so far the only local shelter that is open for residents who need to stay safe, that's at Burgom Middle School, and it is a pet-friendly shelter there as well.
WECT's Kaitlin Stansell is live at Surf City right now.
Fran and John, when I talked to you last, the rain had stopped, the wind had kind of died down, but it's back in full force. I'm going to move out of the way so you can see this. It's kind of gray and cloudy looking because the rain is so heavy right now and the wind is really pushing it into this area. There's actually people in the water right now, if you can believe that. at least the people that were on the pier have moved away at this point. But because our live shot at first died out, I'm bringing Alan Libby with the town of Surf City back to just talk about some of the restrictions. There are no restrictions right now, no closures or anything like that, you said.
That's correct. We're having fun. A lot of people out here. This is what in Surf City we call a mosquito blow. Good news is that the worst of the storm should be through within an hour or two. The tide is low right now, which means minimal erosion. We want to get this puppy out of here so we can have a nice 4th of July weekend in Surf City. Like you noticed, the band just came through as we went on the air. But it's as storms go, it's not a bad storm. We just want to put it behind us, get this beach cleaned up, and enjoy the holiday weekend.
And I think that's what most people are hoping for. You can't see behind us here, but there's a group of people here watching the wind and the waves and the rain, you know, out here braving these conditions just to see what a hurricane is all about. But if you stay with WECT.com through the night and WCT on air, we'll have more updates here coming up tonight at 11. For now, I'm going to send it back to you, John and Fran.
All right, and we're going to send it.
But we saw those huge downpours, really fast rain, and that causes, of course, flooding on the roadways. We want to continue our live team coverage of the latest developments. Fox Wilmington's Kaitlin Stansell in Surf City, our own Emily DeVoe reporting from Wrightsville Beach with what you need to know at this hour.
But first, let's go to Carolina Beach. Casey Cunningham is down there letting us know what it's like along the waterways. Casey?
News at 10 reporter Kaitlin Stansell. She's live there with the very latest. Kaitlin.
Ashley, John, that rain is actually subsided here, but the wind still very heavy. I'm actually going to move out of the way and show you these waves behind me because that's the real story here. If our photographer here is going to zoom in so you can see those waves crashing into the Surf City Ocean Pier. Now, as you mentioned, there are no injuries or damage reported in the town of Surf City, but still very windy. And the peak of Hurricane Arthur actually hit this area just after 7. You couldn't even see 5 feet in front of you. The wind and rains were so heavy. And if we could just not take that video from earlier and stay here on these waves crashing into the pier, this is just incredible, incredible images that we're seeing here. Now, when I talked to town officials, they said they're fortunate that this hurricane hit when it did and that it's a fast-moving storm, and they are hoping to continue their 4th of July celebrations tomorrow once this rolls through our area.
What's deceiving is that the weather is going to look real nice tomorrow, but the surf is still going to be real ugly. And remember, what you see on top of the water is nothing at all like what me going on 6 inches underneath the water. Difficulties come, people from the heartland, they go swimming in lakes and they think it's a big pond. Totally different environment there. So we try and remind people of that.
Now, as Alan Libby with the town of Surf City just mentioned, there were a lot of people out here that are actually out in those waves, and they were crashing about that high just a few hours ago with people out there swimming. And they said that through the next few days, they're really going to keep a close eye on this shoreline, looking for rip current risks here, and they are expecting those to continue for the next few days. We will have more coming up later at Fox Wilmington News at 10, but for now, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, ripping waves out there at Surf City Pier. You saw the folks above those tumultuous waters.
Our team coverage right now with Kaitlin Stansell. She's been monitoring conditions in Surf City where she's seen some huge waves out there.
The biggest waves we're seeing tonight are where you are, Kaitlin.
It's still very windy out here. I mean, we're getting gusts that are pushing me back against this wall under the gazebo here in Surf City. I'm going to move out of the way so we can get straight to some shots of these waves hitting underneath the Surf City Ocean Pier. Now, there are actually some brave souls out here at the very end of that pier feeling the water splash up. And this pier is about 20 feet from the top of the water. So if you see some of these waves come in here in just a minute, you'll see they're very close to the top there. Now, what town officials are saying is they're going to be out here first thing in the morning, checking out and assessing this damage here and picking up any debris that is brought in by these waves. And they're also going to be keeping a very close eye on rip current risks here because they are expecting that to continue throughout the next few days. But for now, most people are just excited that the 4th of July holiday can officially start. A few minutes ago, we actually heard some people shooting off fireworks. I don't know if that's in celebration of 4th of July or they're just happy that Hurricane Arthur is rolling out of here. But for now, I'm going to send it back to you guys, and you can get all your latest updates on WECT.com.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Kaitlin. Great images out there. Amazing stuff we're seeing. Well,
we are continuing our live team coverage of the latest developments. Our own Kaitlin Stansell is live from Surf City and Emily DeVoe is at Wrightsville Beach.
But first we are going to go to Carolina Beach where some of
It has been an extremely windy night at Surf City. During our 6 o'clock news, Kaitlin Stansell could barely hold on to her hat. Let's go back to her now and see what the conditions are like at this hour in Surf City. Kaitlin?
Fran, it's a lot calmer now than it was just a few hours ago. The peak of the storm rolling through Surf City just after 7. Wind and rain so bad at that point you could barely see 5 feet in front of you. But now I'm going to move out of the shot so you can take a look at some of these waves here behind me. The wind's still really rocking the shoreline here. This is the Surf City Ocean Pier. You may be able to see a few people brave enough to get out on that pier right now with these waves crashing into the bottom of it. But here's the facts that we know right now about how this storm has impacted this area. Right now, no injuries or damage reported, but officials say they will be keeping a close eye on those rip current risks throughout the next few days. You know, tomorrow is July 4th. A lot of people are going to be out in the water. Some of them even bold enough to get out in the water today, but they are keeping a very close eye on these waves.
What's deceiving is that the weather is going to look real nice tomorrow, but the surf is still going to be real ugly. And remember, what you see on top of the water is nothing at all like what me going on 6 inches underneath the water. Difficulties come, people from the heartland, they go swimming in lakes and they think it's a big pond. Totally different environment there. So we try and remind people of that.
And one more thing officials say is that they will be out here at the very start of the day to assess the damage and to see if there is any debris that is washed up throughout the night. But before I send it back to you, I just want to show you one thing, just to give you an idea of how much rain we were seeing earlier. This is my rain boot. I haven't taken it off, I haven't dumped it out since earlier, and this is how much water is in it right now. And if you can imagine, there's even more in my socks right now. So at least at this point, the rain has subsided. We're still just dealing with those windy conditions. But reporting live in Surf City, Kaitlin Stansell, WECT News.
Oh, bless your heart. I know she is waiting to get home so she can get a shower and get all of that off of her. We appreciate her hard work out there. All right, be sure.
It's still very windy and rainy here in Surf City, North Carolina. The peak of Hurricane Arthur was expected to hit just after 7, and it definitely did. We're still feeling the effects from that. I'm going to step out of the way so we can take a closer look at these waves and the wind pushing the sand across the beach. Some incredible images here. Surf City Ocean Pier, the waves just touching beneath that boardwalk there. But what I think really is intense about this storm, and probably the most treacherous part of it, is that wind. If you can take a zoomed in look here of the beach, you can see the sand pushing across this beach here. Now what town officials say is they haven't really seen a lot of treacherous conditions here besides that wind and rain, but they're going to be keeping a very close eye on it throughout the night and into the next morning.
What's deceiving is that the weather is going to look real nice tomorrow, but the surf is still going to be real ugly. And remember, what you see on top of the water is nothing at all like what me going on 6 inches underneath the water. Difficulties come, people from the heartland, they go swimming in lakes and they think it's a big pond. Totally different environment there. So we try and remind people of that.
Officials are also going to be keeping a very close eye on those rip current risks. They are encouraging visitors and locals alike to stay out of the water as much as possible during these next few days. In Surf City, North Carolina, Kaitlin Stansell, WPTV News Channel 5.